Welcome to this episode of Trojan Poetry. This week we're going to read the poem A Retrograde by Desiree Bailey. So this is one that I picked, and we're going to read it and get our responses. She crept into my room, took me outside into the mosquito night, thick with the gutted hums of fishermen's wives, piercing the flesh of a sleepwalking sky. She taught me that cobwebs are hammocks for spirits, a stop along the way to rest their weary skins, a knot on the thread of their pilgrimage to a place they had almost touched once. In those days, a village could grow legs, wedge itself deep into the throat of mountains where horses couldn't smell it, where footsteps couldn't sear its memory onto peeling roads. Dear Mama, the orchids have teeth, the machetes are ornaments rusting upon the walls. I want to build you a temple of teeth, but my hands are too tender. My hands are for stringing the rice grains of rosaries. Dear Mama, on the ocean roams a shadow of splinters. The fish are hurling themselves onto the shore. The shore will break into birds of dust. The scales are mirrors blinding the sun. On the ocean roams a shadow of splinters. How will I swim to you when the day is done? All right, so we have our usual responses after reading a poem. So, A Retrograde. John, break it down. What do you got for us?
I'm only laughing not because of anything in the poem, because it gets to this idea that hearing a poem, and we've talked about this numerous times, hearing a poem, I got, and having it in front of you, I got so in my head wrapped up in trying to go back and ask questions while you were reading it that I got lost, and then I got to catch up, and then I would just be completely disoriented. So yeah, I really am absolutely baffled and befuddled.
That's a lot of alliteration.
Thank you. I was trying to, instantly I thought, well, okay, who's the she? And then I went back to the retrograde, but then I was like, no, we're getting to the Dear Mama part, which I could see in advance. So then I was really captured by the village growing legs and then all the mentioning of teeth. But I don't have any idea what this adds up to. It seems very negative. I mean, that would be my first, just gut instinct. I know that's a simple word, but I thought maybe the she was the moon, like the moon is coming into the room and it's leading her outside because of the retrograde. Isn't it retrograde like a term you might use for astronomy?
Yeah, like moving backwards or
right. Something's in retrograde, right. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But retrograde, right? Retro meaning back or prior, and somehow something is going backwards.
Spinning backwards.
Yeah, and I'm still confused about who the she is, of course. So I'm going to reread it as you talk about.
All right. Uh-oh.
You picked it.
You're throwing it to me?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, I read this and I just thought, again, this is one just imagery to the max. It's super, super cool, very visual. I could picture the villages on legs, the cobwebs with hammocks for spirits, and the first line is what got me. She crept into my room, took me outside. It's almost like she's teaching her, she's like a witch or some kind of voodoo or something like that. Because I picture the setting as either somewhere like, a jungle island or in Africa or something like that. And she's getting taken outside by her mom, I want to say, is the she, because it's Dear Mama. And her mom taught her these things, right? And when she's talking about spirits and things like that, I got a voodoo kind of Santeria vibe out of it. And then I also thought this whole poem was like an exercise in motifs. Was the only way that was the only concrete stuff I could hang on to, because like you said, in the first stanza she mentions the gutted hums of fishermen's wives. Right. So I thought maybe her mom was married to a fisherman. And then she talks about, let's see here, fish again. Where's the fish? There's some other mentions of fish. But then she goes into teeth, right? The orchids have teeth. I want to build you a temple of teeth. Oh, the fish are hurling themselves onto the shore. And then the third motif I picked up on, which I thought was really cool phrasing, a shadow of splinters. which sounds like a really cool fantasy novel or something, right? And then in the end, stanza again, on the ocean roams a shadow of splinters, how will I swim to you when the day is done? So I thought, I strung together, all right, so she's a fisherman's wife, they're living by the ocean, there's all this water imagery and fish imagery, and the shadow of splinters maybe is the boat, you know, maybe a boat breaking apart. I don't know if that was her father's boat or something happened to her father. How will I swim to you when the day is done? Or maybe she's part of the shadow of splinters and she's trying to get back to her mom, or she's trying to get back to her childhood the way it was, which is why I thought the title Retrograde was a spinning backwards to this earlier kind of like spirit time in her life when she learned all these things. So,
right, and I thought, because also thought of a witch, maybe, right, that was one of in the first couple stanzas, like maybe it's the moon, no wait, maybe it's some kind of witch. And then when it got to the word rosaries, my hands are for stringing the rice grains of rosaries, that all of a sudden presents a whole other Catholic, right, religion or idea that okay, wait a minute, she doesn't seem happy about that, and it's putting distance, because she wants to build a temple of teeth, but her hands are too tender, and she's instead making rosaries. So she is thinking about she and wanting to be closer, but can't, maybe because of this barrier
of religion, maybe?
that maybe is she's trying to get to a retrograde place. Retrograde seems to me, though, have a negative connotation.
Right, like you're spinning backwards.
Right.
You know, you're not moving forwards, you're not making progress, you're spinning backwards, which seems to be what she's doing. She's going backwards into her past here.
Right.
And yeah, it could be maybe that she is Catholic and it's blocking her from reaching her witch mother and her past, or the rosary could be a voodoo thing too, you know, that's a mashup of kind of, you know, Christian stuff and, you know, pagan stuff.
Well, but the way it's presented, I want to build you a temple of teeth, but my hands are too tender. Like there's something she wants, but the rosaries are in the way, right? Like it's
blocking her.
Yeah.
It's not allowing her to do it. And that also sounds like a witch, almost like a spell, a temple of teeth. What would you do with that? What would you use it for? You know, like,
I don't want to know.
Is that a way to reach the past? I mean, is it a time travel kind of spell?
Temple of teeth may be
a
mouth speaking. Right, Bjork has a song called Mouth Cradle. You should check that out.
Yeah.
Or Mouth's Cradle or something, where it's about singing, and she talks about teeth, and so we're kind of making sense of it.
Or almost like a temple, you know, a small little shrine, you know, that you would light a candle to.
Right.
So a memory of someone or your ancestors kind of a thing.
Well, just the idea the orchids have teeth, I mean, that doesn't seem normal, and then the machetes are ornaments, like that's reversed. Right, like in this place, wherever it was or is, things were reversed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Orchids don't have teeth. Machetes aren't ornaments, but in this place they are. So it's, everything is kind of backwards, but they're rusting. Right. So again, that idea of age.
Time is passing.
Right.
And something that's beautiful, usually, which is the orchids, have become violent, and something that's violent, the machetes, are beautiful.
Yeah, sure will break it. Yeah, lots of disintegration. The shore will break into birds of dust. Right. What was it? On the ocean roams and shadows.
How will I swim to you when the day is done? So she really wants to get back to that first stanza. It seems like she really wants to get back to the mosquito night.
Right.
And the sleepwalking sky. It's kind of like your childhood, you know, when you still believe in magic, you still believe in...
Because those verbs are past tense. She crept, she taught, and now
it's present tense, right?
Yeah. And now can I get back to the night? Because maybe the mother's gone. Right? Obviously, right? Maybe. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we kind of maybe made.
Yeah,
some
I think
sense
we
of
got
it.
something out of that. Yeah, amazing imagery in this poem. It just really struck me right from that first line. She crept into my room. You know, it grabs you. And my question is, do you have something that you've read recently that features motifs like this? You know, because sometimes a motif that's an anchor for me. I look for something that I can hold on to, and in poetry especially, sometimes you need to anchor yourself in something concrete. So, something that you've read recently that features motifs, and what would that be?
Yep. All right. So we have a recommendation, or a kind of a point out. The movie Patterson, if you've not heard of it, is a movie about a guy named Patterson who lives in Patterson, New Jersey, who really likes the work of William Carlos Williams, who wrote a book called Patterson, This is a fascinating movie. I really loved it. It's a week in his life, and it becomes, like you were saying, like motifs where each day is very similar, but there are all of these subtle changes, and you see little storylines develop. But it's a very, I thought, and several people have said that the cover looks kind of dark, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually a very gentle movie, and it's I thought funny. Several laugh out loud moments, but really does talk about what it means to be a poet and an artist in general. Because his wife, the poet's wife, is an artist, but of a very different type. So Adam Driver, the guy who plays in Star Wars, which one? Oh, he's Kylo Ren. Thank you. I'm hearing whispers from Kyle in the background.
Right.
Thank you, Kyle.
Not Kyle Ren, Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. And my son actually saw this sitting on the table, and he's like, "What's Kylo Ren doing in that movie?" And I'm like, "You're probably not going to like it. He's 14."
What kind of poems is he writing?
Yeah, all right. So anyway, it's quote, "Splendid and profound, a masterpiece" from Pete Hamilton of Deadline, and it got fresh rating from Rotten Tomatoes. But it's very good, so I recommend this. All right, thanks for watching. Please join the conversation in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter at Trojan Poetry DGN. Also, check out our website at trojanpoetrydgn.blogspot.com.